This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 749. Buy a t-shirt, prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Don't forget to listen and subscribe on all places that you are checking out those podcasts, whether it is Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, wherever else. Make sure you're giving us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash. Also, give us a like over on Facebook. Give us a follow on Instagram at MarkinOut11, and also on TikTok and on Twitter at MarkinOut. You can follow me, myself, and I on all social media platforms at DavidPTDPT. Follow Chris at CMSweeney85 on Instagram and Chris Sweendog on X or Twitter, whatever. And follow Brandon at BTTG161 on all social media platforms. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic. Loving this weather. Loving it. How was your week?
I wasn't expecting 80-something degrees today.
Yeah, it really got up there, but apparently it's going to rain the next few days, though.
Yeah, but my week was fine. I have been just editing TikTok videos of your trip to Japan still.
Nice. Thank you very much for your services.
I finally got traction on the Ribera steak one after posting and reposting and reposting and reposting.
Finally.
Yep, but that's mainly that. How about yourself?
All is good on my end, just all is good. Still working off, not even working off anything with regards to the jet lag. I'm going to sleep between 9:30 and 11:15, pretty much. And then waking up at between 5 and 5:30 without an alarm clock. And I am loving it. I think I'm going to try to maintain this and then start going to the gym between the 5:30 and 6:30 mark. Try to retain that. So, doing really good. And I got to say that this past week was full of great wrestling. Full of great wrestling stuff.
Yeah. We had Worlds Collide taking place, which, by the way, that stage, the fact that we had a special entrance stage, kind of mimicking the stages you could possibly see in Mexico. I appreciated that. We had the red, white, and green ropes. They had a video package narrated by Rey Mysterio. Conan did commentary with Corey Graves. I thought that was... A lot of people complained. I thought it was cool. I think Conan added a lot. There were... I understand the complaints. There was a lot of times where Conan seemed to maybe ramble, but other times he was very much so helping people out. Like, if you don't watch Lucha Libre, Conan was there giving detail. So I do understand people complaining about it, but I appreciated absolutely everything that Conan and Corey Graves, big time for Corey Graves. Everything that they did on commentary.
Yeah, I thought they did great on commentary.
You had a segment in the ring with, I think Laredo Kid was there, Pagano, Triple H, Maricela Pena, Shawn Michaels, Blue Damon Jr., which was very surreal seeing that in a ring. They were there for the national anthems. The Mexican national anthem was Deira Barrera, and Lillian Garcia did the Star Spangled Banner. And then Rey Mysterio came out and he spoke about the original Worlds Collide and said now the world can see what he fell in love with as a kid. And then they also played a video package later on for the Pena Roldan family. So I thought that was really cool. I did think when they played the Triple Mania video that they were about to announce because at that time WrestleMania did not have a home. I thought that was going to be a video announcement of WrestleMania in Mexico, but then it turned out to be for Triple Mania, so caught me off guard for a second.
Yeah, big announcements.
Yeah, and then obviously they announced later on that WrestleMania was going to be in Las Vegas again.
Big
off the. I really hope they change the schedule from last year.
Big swerve with that. I was very surprised that they're going back to Vegas.
I mean, the rumors have all been out there, so I don't know if it was much of a surprise.
Yeah, the rumors were out there, but I'm just surprised that they did such a pivot on announcing having The Rock announce New Orleans and everything, and then have that switch to a different place. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I don't think it was city-wise, but they did for one of the WrestleManias early on due to attendance.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the first match of Worlds Collide kicked off with Aerostar, Mr. Iguana, and Octagon Jr. picking up the victory over the LWO and Lince Dorado. This is not what we thought was going to happen here. I was very surprised to see the LWO lose, but what a great match to open this show with.
I know. I mean, from the start, and then the highlight of that, I mean, Mr. Iguana. Jeez.
Yeah,
you want to talk about getting over.
Yeah, you had the comedy spots here as expected. You had with Lieska and Mr. Iguana, but I think everything that Mr. Iguana and Lince Dorado did, that's like Lucha Libre to a T for me.
Yeah, what I liked with Mr. Iguana was he was comedy wrestling, which I go back and forth with comedy wrestling, but he was also pure Lucha Libre as well, like you were mentioning. Like, he was really, really entertaining and good in the ring. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, but then throughout the entire match, you had I popped for the Lucha House Party name drop when describing Lince Dorado.
Yeah.
Good old
Lince Dorado, by the way, went after Mr. Iguana blew up everywhere. He actually went and made a Mr. Iguana mask, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
And he's selling replicas of the mask that he wore at Worlds Collide, if anybody's interested in that.
I gotta say, something that was awesome during that match was Lince Dorado hitting the Spanish Fly on Yeleska. Yeah, Yeska.
Yeah. And so they win the match, puts AAA up 1-0 so far. Dominic Mysterio was ringside, and he cut the celebration off. And he trash-talked Octagon for liking Rey Mysterio. He pushed him, and then Octagon dragged him over the barricade. They brawled. It was broken up. And then Dominic Mysterio laid out a challenge for Money in the Bank, which we'll put a pin in. That was exciting. That was cool.
It was very cool, and I love the history of Octagon and Pentagon. Like, I had to dive into it a little bit further, and just the pure history of Octagon and Pentagon is very interesting. I would love to see something with Octagon Jr. and Pentagon, Penta, in WWE.
And a completely different timeline, we could have been seeing Kalisto right there.
True, he was formerly Octagon Jr., right?
Yeah, he was the first Octagon Jr. And I'm almost certain that was the same. Yeah, and I'm almost certain that was Penta's debut.
Not the original.
Yeah, he was the first Octagon Jr., not Octagon.
Yeah, but even I feel like there was an
Jr.
Octagon Jr. after Octagon.
Yeah, it was Kalisto.
That seems so recent.
It was. And that was Penta's debut, I think. I think that was his debut match.
Jeez. I feel like Octagon
Jr. was from 2012 to whenever it was Kalisto. Then Flamita was Octagon Jr. in 2016. And then now Golden Magic. That's the current Octagon Jr.
That's interesting. But
yeah,
it was a solid match, a lot of fun, and like you said, the stuff with Dirty Dom and Liv and everybody in there. I mean, even with Mr. Iguana and Liv Morgan after the matchup.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, there was so much taking place in that match that was just a great opener. Next up, next up you had Stephanie Vicaire and Lola Vice pick up the victory over Chick Tormenta and Dalys. Dalys. Yeah, this match was a solid match. It was definitely something expected.
First of all, Masquerita Sagrada was sitting ringside for this with Latin Lover. Negro Casas was there. So, big WWE returns for Latin Lover and Negro Casas. So, I thought that was pretty cool.
I still have to Google them.
He's Dallas' husband, but they were both part of... I think both of them were part of the 97 Rumble. No, he wasn't part. Casas wasn't. Latin Lover was part of the Rumble.
I have to look it up again. I feel like these people, maybe they were on TV one time.
Latin Lover back in the 90s was like the equivalent of Shawn Michaels for Mexico. So that's why you'll see pictures of him and Shawn Michaels standing back to back.
Yeah, but what was he in WWE?
People compared them. It was that 97. I don't think he did stuff before then.
I don't know. It just doesn't ring a bell for me. I mean, maybe I remember, like, the more that I hear about it from you, the more Latin Lover rings a bell, but I can't really pinpoint anything.
I think if you're going to remember anybody from who wasn't part of WWE at the time in the 97 Rumble, it's Mil Mascaras. He eliminated himself. You also had Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton there, ringside. But Chick Tormenta and Dali spent a lot of this match holding Lola Vice in the ring. And eventually, Stephanie Vicaire got tagged in. She and Lola Vice both did dual Devil's Kisses. Crowd's going absolutely nuts. They're doing the Booker T stuff. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie Vicaire eventually hit the SVB on Dallas to win.
Yeah.
So,
did you with Vicaire? Huh?
I said student teacher.
Who's the student teacher?
Mentor of sorts. Dallas.
What's that?
Vicaire. What
with
is
who?
Mentor? Is that what you're asking? What do you mean? Dallas to Stephanie Vicaire.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know the relationship between Dallas and Vicaire. Dallas trained her?
Mentee, mentor.
Who trained who?
Stephanie Vicaire is like 20 years old. Not really 20, but...
Okay, so Dallas trained Stephanie Vicaire.
Yeah, but not trained.
Okay.
It was just mentored.
Oh, gotcha.
They used to team up. They didn't mention that. I don't think they mentioned that at all. In fact, the graphic, if I'm not mistaken, the graphic they had for the entrance flipped her fact with Chick Tormenta's fact in regards to sharing the ring with Jordan Grace and Naomi. So the production on this episode was quite rough at times.
Yeah, I mean, you had that issue with Aerostar's name without the space in there too.
Which, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they do spell it. They spell it both ways. And yeah, the Street Profits thing was a thing. Also, I forgot what there was another flub that I forgot what it was, but yeah. So next match we had Legado del Fantasma pick up the victory over Psycho Clown, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. and Pagano. That's when the Street Profits were ringside. You had Chavo Guerrero Jr. ringside for this. Commentary, I think, did a very good job at explaining the rules that everybody, if you're first time watching this sort of wrestling, the rules are not what we're used to.
Yeah, the 6-man tag match, it gets confusing.
They also made sure to say that you're not going to get the prettiest stuff from Pagano. So I like that they added that in there, because if you watch Pagano, you never know what you're getting there.
What do you mean?
But like it's rough. He's rough.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just happy because the internet today, everyone's botch, but that's his style is like that. So, but this match, action packed, very, very chaotic, very, very, very chaotic. You had Santos Escobar end it with the Phantom Driver on El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. This surprised me at first, but then I thought about it. Legado is going to be going for those tag titles at Triple Mania. So you can't really have them not look strong going into that.
Yeah, they had to come out looking strong, but I'm glad that they put a lot towards like Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown, especially Psycho Clown. Like, just I want to see more from him.
Gotta say, sorry to interrupt you there. I was so disappointed that Psycho Clown had some generic theme song. Well, I don't know, maybe they didn't want it to have like a song too close to Doink the Clown or something, but his
what's his theme song?
It's a take on that. It's a clown sort of music, but I think that was the most disappointing thing from from Worlds Collide for me. I feel like if they gave him the proper theme song, they would have had maybe more of a reaction to Psycho Clown than similar to how they had for Mr. Iguana.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe some kids like clowns, maybe some kids don't. I don't know, but Psycho Clown, I've seen him be like the most popular wrestler. I mean, Mr. Iguana too, with children.
Yeah.
So I really think they missed the boat on changing that theme song.
Well, I mean, let's see what happens, you know?
Generic themes, but yeah, so I liked El Hijo del... I liked his Wagner Jr.'s theme, so... But next up, you had Ethan Page pick up the victory over Laredo Kid, Ray Phoenix, and Javon Evans to retain the NXT North American Championship. You had Savio Vega and Damian Priest ringside for this. The internet was not pleased when they heard rumors of Savio Vega coming because he's not Mexican. He didn't have any sort of anything to do with Mexico. Meanwhile, commentary's putting it over like we're celebrating everything. It's Worlds Collide.
Yeah,
you had Lola Vice earlier representing Cuba. Stephanie Vaquer's not Mexican. She's representing Chile. I think Dallas is from somewhere else too. I forget where.
Mm-hmm.
I think, is it Panama maybe? I'm not 100% sure. But I hate the internet for stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not there for fun.
I mean, yeah, she's from Panama. But, yeah, so this match, I liked, it took me, also Blue Demon Jr. was sitting ringside as well, but it took me a quick second to realize that Ray Phoenix's gear was a tribute to Pure Oath. I thought that was really cool. But this was another fast-paced match, which I think given everybody, not so much Ethan Page, but everyone else in this match, you would expect a fast-paced match out of. Mm-hmm. Ethan Page he threw a Hurricane Rana at one point too. You were seeing Ethan Page do a lot more high-risk moves that I don't think we would normally see Ethan Page do.
Yeah, he tried to really step it up, and I always like it when wrestlers that you don't expect to hang with the competitors that they're in the ring with start to step up to perform those things. I mean, we've seen that from so many wrestlers.
I mean,
let's say,
Miz.
Yeah, I was gonna like Miz does it really well. I mean, we had Kane do a Hurricanrana once.
Yeah,
but there's so many other wrestlers that really do that. So it was cool to see Ethan Page start to try to do lucha libre moments.
The body slam from Ethan Page to Laredo Kid onto Javon Evans from the middle rope, I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Javon Evans doing the Van Terminator Swanton was insane. I wish it connected more, but that spot, I would like to have that in 2K26. That was a cool move. But
agreed.
Ethan Page hit the twist of fate, I forget what he calls it, on Laredo Kid to retain the championship.
Yeah. Next up was, in my opinion, the match of the night and potentially the match of the entire week. But AAA Mega Championship on the line. El Hijo del Vikingo defending against Chad Gable. And he picks up the victory to retain.
When you say match of the night, do you mean just of Worlds Collide or Money in the Bank?
No. So that's what I said. It's definitely, for me, I think, match of the night, but also could be said to be match of the entire week.
But I mean, it could be. That includes everything else.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
Honestly, this was a fire match. I don't know why I'm
that includes it. Money in the Bank and that includes
Monday Night
everything.
Raw, NXT, SmackDown. Yeah,
that includes everything. I mean, this could be match of the month.
Yeah,
this is just wonderful.
Gabriel Iglesias was sitting ringside for this.
I mean, talking about somebody who can mold into whoever they're working with, Chad Gable. Fantastic.
It was crazy because the crowd was split. You were getting dual chants for Chad Gable. Like, the only other person that we hear that for, I think, is John Cena. Let's go Gable. Mm-hmm. Gable sucks. That was, I think, very unexpected. And this, I thought, was a good match because it was such a clash of styles that both of them had to basically change their style of wrestling. I forget how long into the match we got a high spot from Vikingo. Normally it's like go, go, go. That was very interesting to see that. And they had a lot of good counters to one another. I said that very weird. But Chad Gable introduced a table to this. He did the reverse sit-out powerbomb from the top rope, which was probably, I think, the spot of the night.
You mean the pile driver?
Yeah. As soon as he did that, I saw it as a power bomb. Other people, for some reason, were like, I thought pile drivers are banned. Why is he doing that?
Same here. I saw it as a power bomb.
Vikingo did that leaping Mexican destroyer on the apron. I thought that was dope. And then he sets Chad Gable up on the table, but Chad Gable eventually gets up. He pushes Vikingo off the top rope, and then Vikingo gets put on that table. And Chad Gable hit a moonsault to put Vikingo through it. I wasn't expecting Chad Gable to actually hit that moonsault.
Mm-hmm.
And then both of them got into the ring right before the 10 count. Gable got that ankle lock and then went for the German suplex, but Vikingo got out of it. He kept selling the ankle and then hit a Poison Rana. He finally hits that 630 to win that match and retain the Mega Championship. I really hope that's not the last time we see Chad Gable versus Vikingo.
I hope not. I want to see, I hope that this isn't the last time that we see a lot of these AAA wrestlers on WWE television. I mean, there's a lot of rumors about Mr. Iguana getting a push now. I mean, WWE, the social media page is... I mean, he was at Monday Night Raw in the audience, too. Wait, he was in the audience? No, he...
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the package of him.
Monday Night Raw was a video package.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw was the video package. They're really starting to toss that out there. So I hope that we get some more stuff. Maybe we get Psycho Clown on SmackDown.
And I was thinking it'd be a huge mistake if they didn't do anything with Mr. Iguana on Monday Night Raw. So they did have that video package, and that was, I think, great.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of them were on NXT.
Yeah.
Moving over to Money in the Bank, you had Victor Solomon perform the Star Spangled Banner. Money in the Bank, literally as soon as Worlds Collide ended, Money in the Bank's kickoff show started.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer for them to not do that again, but they're doing it again in July, so that kind of sucks. But the first match of the Premium Live event saw Naomi win the Money in the Bank. You had Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, all in that match. And it was nice to see like fresh faces like Julia, Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vaquer, and especially as newcomers, do very well in a match like this. I like that. The springboard from Roxanne Perez to Rhea Ripley onto the ladder I thought was dope. A lot of people on Twitter were like, where's that move been? Which I think is funny. But that Stephanie Vaquer... Go on.
Yeah. I was going to say something. Yeah. Go for it.
On. No.
Okay. All right, so then I'm going to say, while we're on the topic of Perez, before we went over to Vaquer, that I was a huge fan of Perez doing the skin the cat while Rhea Ripley had the ladders piled up on top of her. And then as she's skinning the cat, you have Rhea Ripley just power her way through the ladders. And then like Perez is just there skinning the cat, kind of like stuck. I thought that was a really good spot.
I think Stephanie Vaquer climbing the ladder while Julia was on her back in an octopus was pretty crazy. I like that. The spot where Julia and Roxanne tossed Alexa Bliss up so she would land stomach first on the ladder, I thought was nice. Stephanie Vaquer doing that devil's kiss on the bridging ladder to Rhea Ripley. That was a big spot of the match. And then Roxanne Perez and Alexa Bliss both hitting, obviously, a code red of sorts, pop rocks, onto the bridging ladders to Stephanie Vaquer and Naomi. I thought that was a cool spot. And ultimately, I was hoping Naomi would win, so I was very, very happy to see that.
Yeah. Some of the shots I didn't necessarily like, though. Like, there were some shots of, like, Naomi up top with the, like... Some of it, I don't know if it was just me, but did it seem like the crowd wasn't filling out yet? Like, it didn't seem like there was that many people in the crowd when...
Yeah, apparently traffic is crazy over there, and...
Yeah, like, I saw that. I was really surprised. Like, I don't know if it was traffic or the increase of the pricing.
No, it was... No, I mean, because Money in the Bank was very sold, so it was traffic.
Okay. That's... Yeah. But... next up, you had Dirty Dom pick up the victory over Octagon Jr. To retain the IC championship. And this match, it was pretty quick, you know? It was less than 5 minutes. Dirty Dom picking up the victory with the frog splash. I wanted to see more of it.
But I think they, for what they did have in that time, I think they put on a good match.
Oh, agreed with you on that.
And then, like we were talking about with wanting to see more stars from AAA on TV, you had Vikingo sitting ringside, Mr. Iguana was there, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Psycho Clown, Conan, all sat ringside. Iguana got a huge pop from the Money in the Bank crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I like Dominic coming out with that Rey Mysterio Sr. inspired mask. He did that, what was it, WrestleMania 2, I think? I'm almost certain. But yeah, I like this. I thought Liv Morgan was going to get involved when Dominic tied Octagon Jr.'s mask to the ropes. And it wasn't until later that she actually did get involved. But like I said, I thought what they had to work with in this match, I thought it was nice. Part of me thinks Dominic threw his shirt during the match at Vikingo. Part of me thinks we could potentially see that being a match for Triple Mania in August. Not 100% sure.
Could be.
I feel like there has to be a reason why Dominic threw his shirt at Vikingo. Maybe it's just heel being heel. I don't know.
I could just be heel being heel, but you know what? I am all for it.
Right now, the next Triple Mania Rahia is a rematch with Del Rio for the championship in a cage match. So I don't think Del Rio is going to take that title again. But with AAA, you never know. They could have literally just taken it off, so he could have had that match at Worlds Collide.
That's very true as well.
Especially
next
since
up,
the crowd seemed to not like that Vikingo won the title, so.
Yeah. Next up, you had Becky Lynch pick up the victory over Lyra Valkyria to become the Women's Intercontinental Champion. So with this one, Lyra had to put the strap around Valkyria and acknowledge her as being the better woman.
And they got started with this match right away. It was, I would have liked more fire to it throughout the whole match. But when they actually did get to that part, I think they did a good job with it. And they did get to the fiery part that I wanted. But Lyra kicks out of the manhandle slam from the middle rope. Becky Lynch hit another one on the outside of the ring. And Lyra Valkyria went limp. And Becky tried to get her back into the ring. And Becky gets hit with the Nightwing. And then Becky went for another manhandle slam, which Lyra rolled through to pin. But Becky Lynch reversed that into a pin. She held onto the tights. I really, really, really wanted Lyra to retain the championship there. But Lyra raised Becky's arm, which wasn't good enough for Becky. She made her do all four sides. And then Becky made her put the title on her. And Lyra Valkyria snapped and hit her with a German suplex. She hit another Nightwing.
I like that. I like that end where she's hit her with that German suplex and the Nightwing after all of that. Because if she... I feel like if she just put the strap on her and didn't do anything, I think that would make her look even worse.
Right.
Than just losing. It would be just insult to injury.
Speaking of insult, Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian were ringside, and they did not show Danielle Fishel right there in the background. They treated her like Will Friedle. They didn't give her the nameplate. How are they going to do that to Danielle Fishel? Do you think Kourtney knows that her sister hosted WrestleMania one year?
Definitely not.
I wonder if she was even there for it. Probably not, but I assume Chris was probably
realistically, she probably knows, but doesn't really think about it.
You think Kim knows? I wonder if she remembers.
Who knows? Not me.
After that, the men's Money in the Bank match, Seth Rollins picked up the victory over LA Knight, Andrade, Solo Sikoa, Penta, and El Grande Americano. This match I felt was a bit slower than the women's Money in the Bank. And the women's Money in the Bank, I think, no offense to anybody in this match and what they did in this match, I think they blew them out of the water. I think the women's Money in the Bank was much better than this one. I popped big time when Solo Sikoa body slammed El Grande Americano on the ladder, and then he did, I guess, Chad Gable's thank you. He did LA Knight's taunt. He did Penta's taunt at one point. I'm sure, Andrade, too, he did the fist. So Solo Sikoa, at that point, it's like with Carlito gone, with R-Truth gone, we need somebody that's funny. Solo Sikoa does some funny stuff. So I thought that was funny.
Sometimes you have to really pay attention to it, though.
Yeah, but I liked the Solo and Seth Rollins stuff, given that they literally just had that segment on SmackDown before this. I liked El Grande Americano doing an ankle lock on top of the ladder to Seth Rollins. Andrade and Penta also climbing that ladder. And Andrade took Americano out with a powerbomb, and then Penta took Seth Rollins out with a suplex onto the ladder. There were a lot of ladder spots in this match, like the Destroyer to Andrade on the bridging ladder from Penta. The Creeds and Chad Gable had a fireball ladder under the ring for El Grande Americano to use, which he took out, and we got a Terry Funk spot from it. A lot of people were pissed off that now they have advertisements on tables and ladders, blah, blah, blah. I don't care.
It doesn't take me away from it.
I kind of like unique weapons, so.
Yeah, it doesn't take me away from it. I like the fact, even the introduction of like Braun Breaker hitting that spear on El Grande Americano, and then Braun Breaker.
Crazy, crazy spear.
Yeah, then you had Reed hitting that tsunami on Andrade.
Yeah.
Like, I like how they hit the ring. And then I like even more how, like, Fatu and Cobb ended up coming out and they had that face-off with Breakker and Reed. I feel like there's so much that could be had with the four of them, but I need, like... This brings me back to when, like, we were having, like, Ivar versus Reed, Bronson Reed, in those matches that they were doing. I want Warhammer involved in this. War Raiders, that's it.
Before that Braun Breaker spot, El Grande Americano loaded up his mask, and that, I think, that's what took Penta out of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Fatu ends up helping Solo Sikoa almost win, and then pulls Solo off the apron, the ladder, I mean, knocks him out. And he ends up putting Solo through a ladder, I mean, off the apron with the spinning Solo. And then Seth Rollins.
Yeah, that was such a cool spot, though.
LA Knight tried to stop him. I think the crowd very much so wanted LA Knight to win that. And I don't think Seth Rollins is not somebody who needs that.
Rocked him with that curb stomp, you know? Hey, Seth Rollins, I disagree. He needs it right now. I think as a leader of that faction, I'm so for him winning this Money in the Bank.
I think he could have gotten there some other way.
No, this is a great way. Keeps on adding to it.
Main event saw Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes pick up the victory over John Cena and Logan Paul. There were so many factors, so many different outcomes that whatever happened in this match almost didn't matter to me. If that makes sense. Because Seth Rollins just won the Money in the Bank, and I think the internet, myself included, thought we could potentially see Seth Rollins become the next World Heavyweight World Champion right then and there.
Yeah, easy cashing right there.
Logan Paul and John Cena, I think, did a good job at holding the ring. There were communication breakdowns between them, and it allowed for Jey to finally tag out. And a bit later, Logan Paul accidentally splashed John Cena. And Logan Paul grabbed the drone, took way too long on that spot, and got superplexed with it. He ate an Uso splash, all while holding the drone. It was a cool spot.
Yeah, cool spot, but also cute, very cool views to see.
A bit dizzying, but yeah, it was cool. And then Jey Uso saved Cody Rhodes from an attitude adjustment on the announce table with the spear. And Logan Paul hit an acai moonsault to Jey Uso, put him through the table.
Yeah, this all led to Cena getting back into the ring with Cody and rocking him with that championship right in the face, only to get attacked by a masked wrestler. And then this masked wrestler just pounding away on Cena. Cena stands up, takes off his mask and everything to reveal that it's R-Truth.
Before he did that, did you
I guess we
realize it maybe would be R-Truth or no?
No. I didn't know what to think.
When he got into the ring and he attacked Cena, I saw his leg. I let out an expletive because I was like, who else is that going to be? So I was so happy to see that it was R-Truth.
You should just record yourself watching pay-per-views.
If I had a better setup, perhaps, but...
Yeah.
But Truth knocked John Cena out of the title. Cody hit the crossroads to win. Cody hyped Jey Uso up after the match for his match with Gunther. Yeah, it's also worth noting that at that time, the panel afterwards and WWE Shop referring to R-Truth as Ron Killings.
Yeah, he's no longer... I mean, he goes into it more on Monday Night Raw, but I love the fact that he's Ron Killings now. Totally incredible.
For years, I've been saying I want R-Truth to be champion. How do they not?
Mm-hmm.
How do they not have him win the championship now?
Yeah.
Monday Night Raw kicked off with John Cena, who said that everybody wasted their energies, their time, saving a sideshow act. And he said that the fans don't really have power. They don't have the power to change anything. And then he brought up how he has 19 dates left and he wants competition. He doesn't want a charity case, if I'm not mistaken. He might have said that about R-Truth. And then CM Punk came out and he said that he's there to defend the people. CM Punk said that Cody is the best that they have and John Cena wins because he takes shortcuts. Mm-hmm. And then CM Punk said that the championship changed John Cena. And John Cena's afraid to hold it. Or CM Punk's afraid to hold it because he held it before and he knows what it turned him into. And he sees that's what had happened to John Cena. But he knows that because of what happened to John Cena, he needs to take it from John Cena and become a monster in order to stop John Cena. And John Cena said that if you want it, you're going to have to follow me to Night of Champions. Which CM Punk very famously spoke out against the WWE superstars going to Saudi Arabia. That was a very, very hot topic on the internet this week.
And you saw John Cena's face too when he brought up saying that he's going to have to face him in Saudi Arabia.
John Cena posted a picture of The Miz. He posted a picture of The Miz on Instagram.
What does that mean?
That's who he said it to. That's who CM Punk said it to about that Saudi Arabia match.
Oh, gotcha. But the grin that John Cena had on his face
between Miz and Punk.
Mm-hmm. No.
And then to end this segment, Seth Rollins, Seth and his group came out, I guess just to show that Seth has the case. I thought that was going to turn into something. Mm-hmm. He left. Everyone left. And then we had our first match. AJ Styles picked up the victory over Chad Gable. Chad Gable, workhorse this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good match. Julius at one point helped Chad Gable out of the Styles clash when Brutus was distracting the referee, and AJ Styles took both of them out. Gable, off of the phenomenal forearm, picked him with an ankle lock. I thought that was a nice spot. And then he eventually got into... he eventually got out of it, and AJ Styles went for... I thought AJ Styles was going for a calf crusher, but he rolled through and hit that Styles clash to get the victory.
Yeah. Good victory by AJ Styles and Chad Gable.
And then AJ... What?
Yeah. No, I was going to say...
AJ was... how are you going to keep saying that? If I'm like... You're like, no, and then say, I was going to say...
And then you give me an open lane to take it.
Yeah, and then
I was going to say, I could definitely see him as champion at some point, Chad Gable.
That would be cool as well.
I hope so.
But AJ Styles was interviewed later on, and he said that he can't forget about what happened last week with El Grande Americano, with Paul Heyman, with the Judgment Day he can't forget. And he said that if people disrespect him, he'll just punch them. So... where this new AJ Styles is headed, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Roxanne Perez picked up the victory over Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Kairi Sane to advance in the Queen of the Ring tournament. I like that the first round of the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring are fatal four-way matches. I think that's like a fresh sort of thing. Do you think that as well? Mm-hmm. Do you like that?
Take it or leave it.
Well, Roxanne Perez pitched her and Liv Morgan working together in the match, and Liv Morgan kind of like brushed it off, basically saying that she's going to take the Queen of the Ring regardless. And Roxanne Perez did actually help Liv Morgan in this match, and then eventually Liv Morgan like started to smarten up and they started to work together. I thought this match was quite exciting. Rhea Ripley at one point held on to the Oblivion. She hit the Riptide on Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez showed up, perhaps at the last second, pulled Rhea Ripley out of the pin. Kairi Sane took both of them out. She hits the insane elbow on Liv Morgan. I thought that was going to be the end of the match. My fingers were so crossed that Kairi Sane would win this match, But Roxanne Perez hit a jackknife pin on Kyrie after that to get that victory, which I'm more than okay with Roxanne Perez moving on as well.
Yeah, I think Roxanne Perez is the best person in this matchup to move on in the tournament. I'm very happy to have her move on with this. If not her, I'd rather Kyrie Sane.
Yeah, and then the Judgment Day celebrated later on, and Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez showed up, and Liv Morgan was pissed off. Mm-hmm. Raquel was like, Roxanne was like, well, I mean, I did it for the Judgment Day. So,
yeah,
I think that's a good, an interesting storyline arc that will go that branch of the story there.
Yeah.
After that, Becky Lynch came out.
You had Becky Lynch calling out Lyra Valkyria, cutting out a promo and everything. And once Lyra Valkyria hits the ramp and everything, you had from behind Bayley making her return to attack Becky Lynch.
But
huge return.
She wanted Lyra to come out there because she didn't think Money in the Bank was good enough. She wanted a proper apology, and she wanted her arm raised properly, I guess. And Lyra Valkyria, she looked like she was about to snap, and then, like you said, Bayley showed up. Becky Lynch eventually escaped, but I have to assume that's going to be a triple threat match for Evolution. That wasn't like mentioned at all, but how could you not have that be the match?
I don't know if I see that as a triple threat.
I really think, I mean, obviously if it's not a triple threat, then it's Bayley versus Becky Lynch, but I really think we're going to see Lyra Valkyria included in that. I would be very surprised.
I could see Bayley versus Becky Lynch. And then maybe Bayley, Lyra get involved after that, maybe.
I'd be very surprised if Lyra wasn't part of that match.
Actually, it could be a triple threat. I mean, by the look on Lyra Valkyria's face, it didn't seem like she was on the same page.
Nope, didn't seem like she was pleased to see Bayley. She wanted to get her own revenge.
Yeah, exactly.
After that, you had R-Truth come out, came out from the crowd with the hood on again, and he said that he's back because of the fans, and he spoke about how R-Truth can be too nice, and he feels different now. And then he took out scissors, he cut his freaking hair live on TV, and said that he's Ron Killings. The truth, what is it? The truth shall set you free?
I think, yeah, the truth has set him free.
My freaking jaw. When he cut his hair on TV, my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah.
Not in a million years did I expect to see that. That was very, very wild to me. But we have a more serious version now. We have Ron Killings in WWE. Something that only existed prior in dark matches.
Yeah, this and the fans are totally behind it. Fans fully supportive. Like, there was moments where Ron Killings was kind of calling, not directly, but kind of calling out the fans for him being looked at as a joke and everything. But you also had the fans responding to him saying and yelling, no. Like, we don't see you as a joke or anything like that, and we take you serious. And I was a big fan of this. I'm looking forward to this, and yeah.
Did you see him yell at Bubba Ray Dudley?
No, I have to see. I didn't see the interview yet.
On Busted Open, Bubba's not there for it in the clip, but Bubba said, like, "Oh, you're Ron Killings now. I don't ever want to hear the truth come out of your mouth ever again." And he's going as Ron the Truth Killings, basically. R-Truth was like, "Who the hell are you to say what my name is?" or something like that. It was that was perfect. Go watch if you have not seen that clip from Busted Open. Go listen to go watch that.
I love the entire put respect on my name.
Yeah, I think we're in for a serious ride from Ron Killings, and I really, really hope that we see him win the championship. I really hope that.
I mean, it would be nice to see him win the championship, if not the main one, definitely like Intercontinental, but it would be nice to see him win the world.
That's like a consolation prize. At this point, this character has to win the WWE Championship.
I mean, it's merchandising wise, it makes sense. You know,
he's the most decorated champion in WWE history as is. So it would be nice to get the actual WWE Championship on that list of accomplishments.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, you had Sami Zayn pick up a victory over Penta, Dominic, and Braun Breaker to advance in the King of the Ring tournament. Definitely surprised, but you had Braun Breaker taking out Penta, and then LA Knight taking out Braun Breaker.
Yeah, Braun Breaker controlled a lot. You had Sami Zayn.
Yeah, Braun Breaker really making a name for himself right now.
And then at one point you had Penta, Dominic, and Sami Zayn team up to take Braun Breaker down. All those dive spots that they did, like literally dive after dive after dive, I thought was great. Braun Breaker, like you said, took Penta out. LA Knight, to get revenge on him from what happened on SmackDown, literally came out of nowhere and took Braun Breaker out of the match. I don't think I was expecting Sami Zayn to win this match.
I wasn't expecting Sami Zayn to win this match either, and I don't know if I wanted him to win. I would have liked Dominic to win.
The winner of the King and Queen of the Rings get a title shot at SummerSlam. I can see that being... I thought we were... Like, that's... I don't know where Goldberg fits into this at all, because I thought for sure we could see Gunther, not to jump ahead, but I think we could see Gunther versus Goldberg at SummerSlam. But then you have the King and Queen of the Ring come into play, where I could 100% see Sami Zayn win the King of the Ring tournament, challenge Gunther at SummerSlam, and then beat Gunther and finally become World Heavyweight Champion.
I can't see that.
I think that would be a tremendous story to have there.
No. We just had Jey Uso as a champion for a little bit of time. I'm not... Keep it on Gunther for a bit of time now.
I don't know. It could be one of those things where... It could be one of those things, though, where it's like Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Eddie Guerrero won with the help of Goldberg. It could be one of those things, and then Night 2 becomes Goldberg versus Gunther. I don't know. We have to see where Goldberg fits in, because Goldberg is 100%
I think Sami Zayn
has to be fitting in. I don't know.
I think Sami Zayn is limited as a champion.
I don't know. I would really like to see him become WWE champion, World Heavyweight Champion at some point. There was so much like put into him, and like he was elevated so much that I really do think he can run with the World Heavyweight Championship.
To me, he's not on that elevated status as he once was.
That's why you take him there and win the King of the Ring. Hello, what do you mean?
And then lose it on Monday Night Raw 2 weeks later?
I don't know.
Main event of the evening.
Nikki Bella was at Monday Night Raw. And she had, earlier in the night, met up with Natalya, Maxine. She met up with Io. That caused quite the controversy, because Io thanked her for what is it?
Paving the way.
The road. Yeah, paving the way for Io. And people were like, well, are you kidding me? Like, Io does laps around the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins aren't legends, blah, 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 blah. Nikki Bella and Brie Bella did so much for the women's division that people, I don't think, ever want to give them credit for.
But even still, that's how fans have always been with the Bella Twins. But yeah. I mean, I don't know if maybe they paved a little bit, but you're still
not a little bit. There was like, go back to before the Bella Twins and go back to after the Bella Twins. It's not just the Bella Twins, but they brought so many eyes to that product. They were pushing week after week to do more and more stuff. It's like Michelle McCool when they had to retape a match because they looked better, they had better punches or whatever than the men do.
Mm-hmm.
that women's division all the way back then was completely like, they don't get credit for what they're owed. But Nikki Bella brought up Evolution 2. That was the first mention of it that storyline wise that we had. And she started putting over the women's division. She put over, like, literally not everybody, but she put over a lot of people. And then Liv Morgan came out super hot, on fire. She cut off her own music, yelled at Nikki Bella for not bringing her up. And Liv said that Nikki probably didn't mention her because she's jealous of her and everything that she has that Nikki Bella doesn't have. Which this segment kind of got catty. But Nikki Bella went to get back into the ring and Liv Morgan rocked her with the Oblivion.
I thought that Oblivion was great.
I thought this whole segment, despite the inaccuracies, I thought was great. Mm-hmm. Liv Morgan and Nikki Bella have wrestled before, so it came across as both of them not realizing that. It came across as Liv Morgan not realizing that she was also on Total Divas. So, but overall, I thought this was a great segment. I have to assume Evolution 2 is the Bella Twins taking the tag team championships from Liv and Raquel.
Could be.
I
could happen.
And I honestly wouldn't mind that at all. But Liv Morgan in this segment, very well done.
I agree. I was a big fan of that Oblivion, especially with her instigating her to get back into the ring and then hitting her with it. It just looks so good and smooth.
Yeah.
Next up was your main event of the evening. Gunther picking up the victory over Jey Uso to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. I love how they were trading back and forth the sleeper holds.
Yeah. This was... I don't know what I was expecting from this match. I guess I was shocked to not see Seth Rollins, and I was shocked to not see Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
But Jey Uso controlled the start of the match. Then Gunther started working Jay's ribs. Jey eventually started to come back from that, and both of them, they were pretty spent throughout the match. Gunther went for that splash, and Jey got his knees up. He speared Gunther. Hit an Uso splash. Gunther kicked out of that. Eventually, Gunther hits his own spear. And Jey missed an Uso splash. Gunther locked in that sleeper. And Jey got to the rope. I don't know why. Gunther pulled him away. I don't know why that wasn't a rope break. But that sleeper spot was crazy. Because Jey got out of it and locked his own sleeper in. Gunther got out of that. Like you said, they were trading those sleeper holds. And when, I guess, the final sleeper hold was locked in, I was not expecting Jey Uso to lose that right there.
You know, I wasn't expecting it, but I welcome it.
This, by the way, I don't see anybody mentioning this. This ties into what Gunther's been saying all along about Jey Uso. You're too nice to be champion. What did he do the night before or the 2 nights before? Mm-hmm. Why was he in a tag match with Cody Rhodes?
He's right.
Because he's too nice. I don't know if anybody said that on the internet, but that plays into that story perfectly.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving over to NXT, it opened with Ethan Page picking up the victory over Shawn Legacy to retain the North American Championship. I think this was a good match, and Shawn Legacy continues to kill it. But
yeah, this Legacy was a great opening.
Yeah, he missed that springboard 450, and Ethan Page hit the Twisted Grin? I don't know if that's like sitting in my head or not, but the twist of fate to win the match. And then Ricky Stark showed up and attacked Ethan Page, which Ava was very much so annoyed at. She's like, what are you even doing here? You're not cleared. I didn't want any of this happening. This was supposed to be over with. And like he literally couldn't even talk because of what Ethan Page did to Ricky Saints' neck. And she's like, I don't want you here until you're cleared. So
makes sense to me, but I'm sure he's going to get cleared sooner than later.
Probably.
Next up, you had the Colin pick up the victor over Josh Briggs and Nakamura. This was a good tag team match, but Briggs...
Before we talk about this match, though, Izzy Dame spoke to the Calling earlier and said that the reason why she took Brooks Jensen out of this match, or not out of this match, out of the group, was because she saw that it didn't seem like Brooks Jensen believed in the Calling. And he was the reason why they lost at Battleground. That's why she did what she did. I don't know if we're going to see Brooks Jensen reinvented. Maybe we'll finally see the version of Brooks Jensen where he comes out to Journey and people go crazy for. Maybe we see him join up with Josh Briggs and Inamura again. Or not again for Inamura, but who knows? And this, like I said before, you had Psycho Clown and Octagon Jr. ringside for this. I didn't really necessarily understand that. I don't know if there was nothing like... I needed more AAA involvement in this episode, and they were just sitting in the crowd.
Yeah, not they were just scouting.
Yeah, but Izzy Dame teased using a chair, and I guess used that to distract Josh Briggs, and Nico Vance ends up taking over. Briggs took way too long getting to the top of the rope for the moonsault.
Yeah, Vance getting the upper hand.
Yeah, and it seems like, I don't know, in the crowd, it seemed like nobody thought that was going to be the outcome. I think everybody thought that it was going to be Inamura and Briggs winning. I did not think the Calling was winning this match. And then Josh Briggs was pissed off about what happened. Later on, AJ Francis and Casey Navarro showed up, and they said that the titles would look really nice around their waists. Elijah randomly showed up, and they end up leaving. That sets up a 6-man tag match with Trick Williams next week. I think that's interesting. Yeah. After that, we had Mariah May. We now know her name. They had a video package air for her. It's Blake Monroe, which the video was very reminiscent of like a 50s, maybe a bit like Bewitched, but it was almost shot for shot a Sabrina Carpenter tour open video for the Short and Sweet tour, which thank God that video exists, because everyone was like, they're ripping off Tony Storm and they're ripping off AEW.
Even though they're ripping off Sabrina Carpenter.
Like, thank God that video from Sabrina Carpenter's tour exists, because it's literally shot for shot. I think maybe one scene wasn't, but thank God. Seriously, thank God. And then she'll sign her contract next week.
Totally Sabrina.
It's going to take a bit of adjusting to get used to, not calling her Mariah May, but I don't have any complaints about Blake Monroe.
I mean, but it's nice, and it's nice that she chose this.
Yeah.
You know? Apparently she named herself after her niece.
And Marilyn Monroe.
Blake Monroe... Yeah,
which, if you go back and watch all her vlogs, you'll see tons of inspiration from Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. So, next up, you had Lash Legend pick up the victory over Ren Sinclair. Lash Legend is way too powerful.
This, Kalani Jordan, by the way, was on commentary for this, but I don't know. Maybe I'm definitely not over what they did to Metaphor yet. But Ren Sinclair, I would say, controlled most of this match. But I didn't see her being the person that wins this. But what Lash did in this match, it seemed... something seemed off. It seemed like a step back. I was very surprised from this match. I wasn't... I don't know what was off about Lash Legend in this match. I don't know... if you felt it too. I know you just said she was powerful or whatnot, but something wasn't clicking.
Yeah. I don't know. It didn't misclick for me. I thought it was fine.
And then later on, No Quarter Catch Crew met up, and Charlie Dempsey let Miles Bourne leave the group, which I really still don't get. And he's basically said, make us proud, and then Tavion Heights also wanted to take his shot, and Charlie Dempsey wouldn't let him. Siobhan Evans was part of that segment. I really don't get this breakup of No Quarter Catch Crew. I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah. Well, next up you had Jacy Jayne pick up victory over Lainey Reed to retain the championships. Jacy Jayne almost having some trouble, but thanks to a distraction from Fallon Henley, she was able to pick up the victory.
Yeah. And this obviously stemmed from that backstage segment earlier where Lainey slapped Jacy. Like, she slapped her face and then she slapped her neck. I thought that was weird. But Lainey Reed, she was part of Level Up, but essentially came out of nowhere the other week. She was a rodeo champion, record-breaking D1 track and field athlete. This was a good match for Lainey Reed. And I think she was able to do more to Jacy Jayne than I expected to see. She hit that knee, which she used as a finisher on Level Up. I assume that's maybe her finisher now as well. But, like you said, Fallon helped Jacy Jayne get the advantage, get that victory. Ava showed up afterwards and said that there's going to be 4 singles matches next week on NXT. That'll become a Fatal 4-Way, and then the winner of the Fatal 4-Way goes on to face Jacy Jayne at Evolution. I thought for sure we were going to be seeing Mariah May win that title from Jacy Jayne at Evolution 2. You have Lash Legend versus Kalani Jordan. You have Zarya versus Izzy Dame. You have Thea Hale versus Jada Parker. Lola Vice versus Jordan Grace. I would have to assume Jordan Grace is winning that Fatal 4-Way.
I could see that happening. I think so.
You had the High Rise pick up the victory over the Family. Mr. Iguana, El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. sitting ringside. Tony still not trusting Luca. And they weren't on the same page in this match.
No, I mean, that cost them the match at the end where, I mean, do was just going right into that?
I mean, Stax ran out with the crowbar. Tony attacked Stax. Crucifino picking up that crowbar, but then Tony turning around, seeing him with that crowbar and gets all paranoid. But then High Rise pushes Tony right into Crucifino. Not once did it look like Luca was going to be hitting Tony with it. To me, at least.
No. I agree.
Luca swore he wasn't going to, and that led to the High Rise winning.
No.
Main event saw Oba Femi pick up the victory over Jasper Troy to retain the championship. NXT opened with Jasper Troy putting Oba Femi through a car windshield. This match, as far as Jasper Troy just recently, he wins LFG, gets introduced to NXT television. This match had absolutely no business being what it was. Jasper Troy is an absolute beast, like a freaking beast. We had that spot where he Irish whipped Oba Femi into the turnbuckle so hard that it snapped. And honestly, outside of that weird shoulder spot, I think this match was insane. This match was great.
This was a solid match, especially for Jasper Troy. I wasn't expecting such a showing from Jasper Troy.
Yeah. Very much so. I was very, very happy to see this match. So, and I'm assuming that's not the last time we'll see Jasper Troy in that sort of situation. Who knows what's next week?
Yeah, we're going to find out.
That's NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with John Cena talking about how he is the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. He walked through all the steps of how he became WWE Champion leading up to this episode of SmackDown. The matches from this final run for John Cena are like whatever. But for me, the story that John Cena tells, I think, is fantastic. Cody Rhodes came out and said that everything John Cena said was true, and he absolutely hates that it's true. He also angrily asked why John Cena happened to skip the last part where he pinned John Cena at Money in the Bank. And he asked John Cena where it leaves them. Randy Orton came out, and Randy Orton said that it doesn't matter who he has to go through to get number 15, and he won't hesitate to put Cody Rhodes down. And then LA Knight came out and said that he'll take Randy Orton, he'll take Cody Rhodes, he'll take John Cena, and he'll be the next WWE champion. John Cena left. Ron Killings attacked John Cena on the entranceway. And then later on, we had John Cena question Jimmy Uso if he knew where R-Truth was. Jimmy didn't. And he said, I'm going to the ring. Tell him I want to meet him there. And he called R-Truth out. CM Punk showed up instead. And Punk told Cena basically to stop what he's doing and just let the fans be a fan of John Cena during this final run. Let them celebrate John Cena. And John Cena said that the fans don't matter, so he's not doing that. And then CM Punk said that he himself right now sounds like John Cena. John Cena right now sounds a lot like CM Punk. And he said that John Cena, way back when, couldn't stop him when he did what John Cena was trying to do right now. And he'll go anywhere and do anything to take that title from him. He also said that he can see right through John Cena. He ends up leaving. R-Truth showed up again, attacked John Cena, locked him in the STF, and then R-Truth got himself a match with John Cena for next week. So I think that's very interesting. You had Randy Orton pick up the victory over LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, and Aleister Black to advance in the King of the Ring tournament. I went into this thinking Randy Orton was going to win, so I mean, it's hard not to. This was very chaotic. I don't think anybody really had the upper hand. But Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker showed up. They cost LA Knight the match. It left the ring wide open for Carmelo Hayes. And he jumped off the top rope, landed right into an RKO. After that, you had Jacob Fatu come out. And he said, just because you're family, it doesn't mean you can go behind someone's back and be a snake. You can't take credit for what Jacob Fatu has done, etc. And Solo Sikoa interrupted on the screen and said that he could forgive Jacob Fatu for what he did at Money in the Bank. And Jacob Fatu was nothing before he brought him to WWE. And he said he'll be in the ring next week, and all he needs, he has open arms for Jacob Fatu. All he needs to hear is that he loves him. And then he also followed that up by saying that he could also take Jacob Fatu out. Hikuleu actually debuted on Main Event, so maybe we'll see Hikuleu next week on SmackDown. Yeah, Jade Cargill pick up the victory over Mia Yim, Nia Jax, and Piper Niven to advance in the Queen of the Ring. It was interesting to see Piper Niven and Nia Jax team up to, I guess, try to take Jade Cargill out. I think it was awesome. Honestly, I think for me, Mia Yim was the one that shined the most in this match. That springboard moonsault onto the three of them outside the ring, I thought was great. Piper Niven and Nia Jax sent Jade Cargill into Wade Barrett at one point. And then Mia Yim made a double choke slam from both of them. Piper ends up sending Nia Jax through the barricade. Hits the Vader bomb on Mia Yim. Only to have Jade Cargill come back into the match. Hit Jaded on Piper Niven to pick up that win. I think that was... You look at the other competitors, it seems like there was no way Jade Cargill wasn't going to the next round. You had Naomi come out. She brought up how Tiffany Stratton was the one that was preventing, when she was trying to win the women's championship, she was the one preventing her from doing so. So she's coming for Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany came out and said that if Naomi wants the title, cash in right now. And then said that Naomi's all talk and no action. Naomi said she'll take the title when she wants. Nia Jax then got into the ring and attacked Tiffany Stratton. But Tiffany Stratton took her down. Naomi got up on the apron. Tiffany Stratton took her eyes off of Nia Jax to hit Naomi. And then Nia Jax ended up with the upper hand. She got the Annihilator. And then Nia Jax stopped Naomi from cashing in. She refused to let her get into the ring. So I don't know if, I guess this is maybe leading to another Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton feud of sorts, but it was very interesting to see her stop Naomi from getting in there. You had the Wyatt Six pick up the victory over the Motor City Machine Guns. I didn't like that this started with Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis taking them out with, like, really throughout the match even, no real referee control. The end was weird, where it seemed like Dexter Lumis was done, and then Uncle Howdy made Dexter Lumis go up, hit the leg drop before actually winning. For me, this match fell flat. I hate saying that. I like both teams. It didn't do anything for me. You had Alexa Bliss pick up the victory over Candice LeRae, Alba Fire, and Charlotte Flair to advance in the Queen of the Ring tournament. This was very, very hard to think of who I thought was going to win, because you really, when you see Charlotte Flair in the match, you just assume that it was going to be Charlotte Flair. And I was hoping that it wasn't. Chelsea Green was supposed to be in this match. She was having, I think they said, travel issues, and she begged via FaceTime, begged Nick Aldis to push this match to next week. Aldis wasn't having it and put Alba Fire in this match instead. I liked the code breaker to Alexa Bliss with the senton to Charlotte from Candice LeRae. Charlotte locked Alexa Bliss at one point in the figure eight, and Candice LeRae broke that up with the lion salt. It's really, really refreshing to see Candice LeRae be Candice LeRae and do moves again and do stuff like this, have matches. Alba Fire hit Charlotte Flair with the Gory Bomb. Charlotte broke up a pin after a Twisted Bliss, and then later on blocked the Unpretty Her from Alba Fire, and then locked her in the figure eight. Alexa Bliss, right next to her, hit the Sister Abigail DDT on Candice LeRae. And Alexa Bliss got the win off of that, and as soon as the 3 count happened, Alba Fire tapped out. I really liked that ending to that match, and I'm very happy to see that it was Alexa Bliss moving on. In the main event, you saw Cody Rhodes pick up the victory over Shinsuke Nakamura, Andrade, and Damian Priest to advance in the King of the Ring. This was like the other matches with Randy Orton and Jade Cargill, where you go in knowing that it's very hard to see anyone else but Cody Rhodes win. Also, I will say that I think it's kind of funny how chaotic all the matches were on SmackDown. Like, obviously, Fatal 4-Ways are Fatal 4-Ways, but that tag team match was also chaotic. The promos, all the segments were chaotic as well. Cody Rhodes got tables involved, and he tried to suplex Andrade from inside the ring to outside the ring, but he couldn't do it. Damian Priest joined in, and Nakamura saved him, only to take Andrade out. And then he kicked Cody off the apron, and Cody went through the table, which that had me thinking Cody was going to be out for the rest of the match. He'd come back last second like Jade Cargill, but he got back into the actual mix of the match. Cody ate a Kinshasa. I like the knee spot from Andrade where he hit them to hit them on Nakamura. He went for Damian Priest. Priest stopped it. And he went for the South of Heaven. Andrade reversed that, hit the message. And then Cody Rhodes hit the Cody Cutter on Nakamura and Andrade at the same time. Hit one on Damian Priest. Hit the Crossroads on Andrade and picked Andrade up for what was, I can only assume, was going to be the trifecta. Nakamura stopped it, but Cody reversed that and hit a Crossroads to win. So it sucks that, well, I don't want to say it sucks that Cody won, but the writing was on the wall there. So we'll see who wins the King of the Ring. That was SmackDown. I'm going to take a quick little break, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is Shotzi Blackheart, and you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 749. AEW had Summerfest. I forget what it was called. It was Dynamite, and then it was Collision, a 4-hour block again. It opened with Will Ospreay and Swerve going to a no contest, or a time limit draw, actually. Honestly, though, couldn't care less about this match, and I thought this was so boring. Ospreay broke his nose pretty early on in the match, so that very much so sucked for him. In this storyline, though, Swerve just looks so stupid. They're on the same side, and I'll put a pin in that. You had Swerve, after the match, call for sudden death. The Death Riders showed up. And then, out of nowhere, the Young Bucks attacked Swerve. They cuffed him to the ropes, and they kept going. They put those thumbtack shoes on, and Will Ospreay stepped in the way of the super kick with the thumbtacks. And he basically saved Swerve from getting that. And then later on, Hangman was supposed to talk. He ends up all tied up from the Death Riders. And the Death Riders are beating him down. The Ops make the save, eventually. And then even later on, the Young Bucks apologized to Hangman and tried to make it seem like they were still, again, together on stuff. And he told them off. He told them, stay away. Stay away from me, stay away from Will Ospreay, and stay away from Swerve. Prince Nana overheard it. Swerve overheard it. Like I said before, Swerve looks dumb in this whole situation, this whole storyline. You had Mystico pick up the victory over Blake Christian. Blake Christian never wins on AEW television. Lee Johnson got involved. This was a nothing match. This was, I have Mystico on my show. You had the Hurt Business come out afterwards, and MJF said that he's going to give Mystico a match next week in Arena, Mexico, and then rip his mask off. And MJF called him Sin Cara. That's when Mystico dropped him, but the Hurt Business pounced. They stomped him out. Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Mascara Dorada made the save. And then it leads into their match where the Hurt Business picked up the victory over that team. MJF had a custom MVP outfit. I thought that was pretty funny. But this match got chaotic. MVP hit Speedball with the cane, and that led to the end of the match. MJF continued the attack on Speedball, then Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin beat down the others. MJF removed Mascara Dorado's mask. And then Mystico ran back down, tapped MJF out. That pushes their match for next week. You had TJ pick up the victory over Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. The referee had very, very little control here. The finish to me made no sense at all. You had Penelope Ford. It took forever. Megan Bayne's literally just standing there, watching her, waiting for Anna Jay to lock in a sleeper hold. So then Ty Mello can reverse the win. The move, I mean. And they get the win. You had Kenny Omega and Okada have a contract signing. Tony Schiavone unveiled the new Intercontinental Championship that is not due to trademark being called the Intercontinental Championship. They are unifying the Continental Championship and the International Championship to be called the AEW Unified Championship, which sounds stupid. It looks like the original Women's Championship that they have. I hope, since they're getting rid of the Continental Championship, that means we will never see a Continental Classic again, because I hated those. There was no storyline, or very little storyline, if there was. And it just completely ate up TV time that I didn't want to watch the same matches over and over and over again. Yet Don Callis interrupt this, reiterate that this match with Kenny Omega should be with Kyle Fletcher or Takeshita, not Okada. And Kenny Omega said that he's beaten them already. He knows all of Don Callis' tricks. And then Don Callis is like, oh, you don't know this one. And Okada attacked Kenny Omega. So I don't understand. Is Okada not with the Young Bucks anymore? I don't know. But there's zero control from any authority figure. Kenny Omega was spitting blood everywhere. Spewing blood even, you could say. It looked so goofy. You had Kyle Fletcher pick up the victory over Anthony Bowens. I think commentary did a good job at putting Bowens over here. But since he's returned, when the matches matter, he's not winning. So I think that sucks. But I think Bowens looked great in the match. Lance Archer was involved, but like I said the other week, Bowens needs victories. He needs wins. And wins over people like Kyle Fletcher. Not Blake Christian. This was another match that he needed to win. And it just, you could already, as soon as this match started, Kyle Fletcher's winning. There was an interview with Atlantis and Atlantis Jr., immediately interrupted by FTR. Stokely, for some reason, accused Nigel of popping pills during that segment. I thought that was goofy. But it led to a brawl, and FTR got the upper hand. Adam Cole made the save, and then the Don Callis family attacked. The Bandito and Templario showed up. Brody King showed up. That all sets up a 10-man tag or a 12-man tag next week. There's 2 of those matches next week, which is just absurd. You had Toni Storm pick up the victory over Julia Hart. Mercedes Moné sat ringside eating again. The steak, I have to say, looked so much better this week than last week. It looked like it was maybe a perfect temperature. Last week looked awful. But the last big match that Julia Hart won against somebody was Jamie Hayter in January. She's had wins since then, but not as big as a win over Jamie Hayter in that scenario. I want more victories for Julia Hart. Sky Blue got kicked from ringside when her and Julia Hart attacked Toni Storm beforehand. Toni was hurt from it. So Julia went into this match with the upper hand. Big time advantage. But of course she lost. Because that's Toni Storm and that's Julia Hart. And Julia Hart's not going to beat Toni Storm in 2025. I don't know why, to build up this match between Mercedes Moné and Julia Hart, why can't you just have Mercedes? You have so much outside interference in your company as is. Why can't you just have Mercedes Moné distract Julia Hart, distract Toni Storm, get Julia Hart the victory, and then build Julia Hart up? This feud between the 2 champions taking another feud away from another title. You're doing nothing with Julia Hart, and you haven't been doing anything with Julia Hart, and Julia Hart deserves to be somebody in this company. Mercedes afterwards, she smelled Toni Storm and then attacked her until Mina Shirakawa showed up, and then she went in a loop and took out Mina Shirakawa. You had Ishii, Mark Briscoe, and Willow Nightingale pick up the victory over Maximum Male Models and Taya Valkyrie. I have absolutely no idea where this match came from or why it happened. Very interesting to see a random inclusion of Taya Valkyrie and Willow Nightingale here, just to have a random mixed tag action. Most of this seemed like they were afterthoughts. Most of the women on this card seemed like afterthoughts. This match was what I assumed it would be. It was very chaotic, very little referee control. Willow got the victory, but she seems very much so lost in the shuffle. They don't know what to do with her. And it's the same thing with Julia Hart. There's 2 champions, TBS, AEW Women's Champion, feuding with one another. You don't have another title for them to go after. So they just float around doing nothing. You had Chris Statlander interviewed afterwards, and she, I guess, is done with Willow Nightingale or trying to prove herself. Wheeler Yuta gave her advice. Maybe to tease her joining the Death Riders. Marina Shafir, though, angrily stared at Wheeler Yuta for doing that. I assume that's going to eventually lead back to Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale teaming back up. We'll see. You had Bandito pick up the victory over Black Taurus. So much for building up LFI. You had it last week. Why not just continue? Where's Roosh? Where's Drilistico? They weren't there. The Outrunners came out with Bandito. Black Taurus all alone. LFI nowhere to be found. And Black Taurus controlled a majority of this match. But because it's Bandito, Bandito's not losing in a match like that. Because it's Black Taurus is not winning a match like that. You had Tekla pick up the victory over Queen Aminata. This match, it seemed like the very first match with Swerve and Ospreay, where they were just killing time. Aminata barely got anything in at the start, and it was just very... I don't know what the actual time of this match was, but this match was long without doing anything major in it. Eventually it picked up where Queen Aminata was doing moves, major moves, But it's not like Tekla was doing anything in this match. For a majority of it, she's outside. This was a very weird match. I don't think this was a good showcase for Tekla. And then the main event saw the Don Callis family and Hey Cesaro pick up the victory over Paragon and Daniel Garcia. Why? I have absolutely no idea. And after everything that happened earlier with the Don Callis family, where is any sort of authority there? Half of them should be suspended. And then this episode also went past midnight. It's a 4-hour show. Like last week, I really don't think they utilized their time properly. This, for me, was a bad show. And next week looks like another bad show. Like I said, you got a 10-man tag and a 12-man tag. Don't need that. That's AEW, Dynamite, and Collision. Hey, Brandon. Got any shout-outs?
Why did the chicken cross the road to listen to Brandon's shout-outs? Waka waka.
Muppet Vision 3D gets the first shout-out as they officially had their final show last week. I've spoken about this before. If you're unfamiliar with it or what it was a 3D film that aired in a 4D theater at Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World. It was also in California at one point as well, but it opened in 1991. It was the last opening day ride, I think, or attraction. And it was Jim Henson's final major project that he did before he passed away. So I'm happy that I've seen it as many times that I have. I could probably sit there and spend a whole day and just watch that over and over and over again. When I go to Hollywood Studios, I cared about the Muppets. I care about Tower of Terror. It's being replaced by Monsters, Inc.
The last person on the ride.
Yeah, it was Jim Henson's daughter. But it's an attraction. I don't like when people call it a ride. I did that before as well. But yeah, it's being replaced by Monsters, Inc., which I'm a big fan of Monsters, Inc. I just wish they didn't cancel each other out.
They got it.
In a perfect... Go.
With Epic Universe coming out there now, they have to change up stuff.
I don't... there's so much room at Walt Disney World that even the Cars Land... Not Cars Land. That pisses me off when people say that as well. The Cars attraction that's replacing the Mark Twain and everything. I think there's so much land at Walt Disney World that you don't need to be replacing anything. And you have the freaking space that's giant empty space doing nothing in Hollywood Studios, but let's replace the Muppets. In a perfect world, they reappear.
I mean, they do have a lot of empty space over there.
Yeah, but
how many islands do they have that are just inhabited?
How many islands?
Yeah.
They're not using those islands for attractions.
I mean, you could.
But there's land. There's land beyond the land. So, but within the next 5 years or so, I really hope, because we now know, or we knew before, but it's official. As per Kermit the Frog making the announcement, Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith is being rethemed to the Muppets. There's a theater right now housing Disney villains unfairly ever after. So I hope once the Villain Land opens that we're going to see that theater turn into Muppet Vision 3D. I really hope that happens because, I'm not getting on Rock and Roller Coaster to enjoy Muppets. That's not something... I'm not going upside down. I can barely do roller coasters as is. I really hope I'm able to do the Monsters, Inc. coaster that they're putting in. Just to do it once if it's, terrible. For me at least, not, entertainment value-wise. But here's to Muppet Vision 3D. If you've never seen it, look it up on YouTube. 9 Perfect Strangers gets the next shout-out, which I did not even know the second season was out. The first season was in 2021, so it's been quite a while. But the full season's going to be out on Hulu by, I think, July 2nd. But like last season, you have strangers go to a retreat. It's a drama mystery. Nicole Kidman's back. You got Henry Golding, Annie Murphy, Christine Baranski amongst the new cast members. If it hadn't been for Annie Murphy on the Tonight Show last week, I don't know how long it would have taken for me to realize there was a new season of this out.
That's bad promotional stuff right there.
Yeah, and because even when you go onto Hulu, for me, it wasn't on there.
That's awful.
So go watch 9 Perfect Strangers. This week there were 2 huge deaths in rock and roll, unfortunately. One being Sly Stone, who passed away at the age of 82. He was a pioneer for funk rock music as the frontman for Sly and the Family Stone, which truly, I think, is one of the greatest bands in the history of rock and roll. If you don't know them by name, I would really hope you know their songs. Everyday People, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again, Family Affair, Dance to the Music, so many more.
Yeah, I gotta say, Everyday People is probably in my top 5 to 10 favorite songs.
And then the other passing was Brian Wilson, also at 82. Absolute genius and a pioneer that completely changed rock and roll music. He founded the Beach Boys alongside his brothers Dennis and Carl, their cousin Mike Love, their friend Al Jardine. When I think of music, when I think of America, when I think of summer, I think of the Beach Boys. They had hit song after hit song: Surfin' Safari, Surfin' USA, Little Deuce Coupe, California Girls, Good Vibrations, Wouldn't It Be Nice, God Only Knows. The list literally goes on and on.
Help Me Rhonda?
Yeah. I mean, their Pet Sounds album is a masterclass of music. If you see documentaries of Brian Wilson putting together all these songs, you could see, you obviously you can't see inside his mind, but you see these like little bits and pieces putting together these harmonies and the backing tracks and everything. So if you've never seen that, go try to find videos of the recording sessions for the Beach Boys. I got to see Brian Wilson perform live solo, and then I saw him twice with the Beach Boys when they did their 50th reunion tour. I also met him twice.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me my favorite band, I would say it's the Beach Boys. And I wish new artists got to work with Brian to see how their music would come out. Just to see like little tweaks and things that he would do to change the song and make it genius. So go out this weekend, go listen to Sly and the Family Stone, go listen to the Beach Boys. We're approaching summer. Like I said, Beach Boys reminds me of the summer. It's very, very unfortunate to see both of them pass away. But those are my shout-outs. Now it's time for
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. Honestly, all of Worlds Collide. Them, first of all, before even Worlds Collide, they had t-shirts on WWE Shop for all of them. Everyone that was competing in Worlds Collide, I guess with the exception of Lindsay Dorado, but all the AAA stars, I was very, very surprised to see that. Mystery Iguana, Psycho Clown shirts on WWE Shop. That's awesome. And like I said, literally everything. I was marking out left and right for Worlds Collide.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ron Killings coming back was fantastic. I
agree with you.
I also marked out Shotzi Blackheart has been calling herself the Indie God and the Deathmatch King after returning to GCW.
Man, Shotzi, true Indie God story.
Yeah, Matt Cardona threatened to sue her. A match for GCW was set up, and then she did Shot Z, True Indie God story.
Mm-hmm.
So I popped big time for that. Obviously, big fan of Z True Long Island story. So part of me was hoping this match. I was hoping this match was going to be taking place at Coney Island, but I guess not.
Yeah, definitely Mr. Iguana for me, and the stuff with Cardona and Shotzi, I have been enjoying. Yeah. So take it home.
Thank you so much for checking out Markin Out episode 749. Follow us on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on all platforms. Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85, David PTDPT, Facebook.com/Markin Out, YouTube and Instagram Markin Out 11, ProWrestlingTees.com/Markin Out if you'd like to support us that way. At Markin Out on TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, markinout.com, and we wish you the best
of luck in your future endeavor.
Have a fantastic week.